Let's take a look at this new DePIN project with only 1 to 200 devices in the world so far, and airports and world-leading flight tracking companies are already using this same device, which now anyone can set up at home, track flight data yourself and get rewarded for it. That is what 4DSKY does and what I'll be reviewing today. I'll talk about their Airsquitter Sensor, how it works, the setup, go through how the rewards work, how 4DSKY compares with Wingbits, another DePIN project, and at the end I'll give you my final thoughts on it. So what is 4DSKY? 4DSKY is the world's first edge-native, fully decentralized flight tracking network, changing how airspace is monitored in real time. It's a global mesh of sensors that capture and share aircraft data directly from the edge, so directly from the sensor device to the place that uses the data, like an air traffic controller. So the data goes straight to them without going through vulnerable central servers or cloud systems that can be crashed or hacked. The data also have lower latency and can be trusted since it's directly from the source and cryptographically signed. This is exactly what the aviation sector have been looking for, so it's a very big deal. Traditional flight tracking systems rely on massive multi-million-dollar radar installations that only bigger airports can afford, so small airports or drone sites might not have one. 4DSKY changes that by letting anyone deploy these professional-grade sensors to fill in those gaps, making the entire airspace more complete and also more resilient. What also sets 4DSKY apart is its full spectrum coverage. It doesn't just spot modern airplanes, it tracks everything from helicopters and gliders and legacy aircrafts and tiny drones using advanced multilateration and multiple signal types. What 4DSKY does is not also just in theory. They have already earned regulatory approval from the UK Civil Aviation Authority for live trials, including a contract to demonstrate edge-based drone detection in controlled airspace. Their tech is also already deployed at some UK airports as well. So far, 4DSKY have only between 1 to 200 sensors online since they went live on the Hedera blockchain just earlier this year. So we are still very early on this project. But it's also important to know the important tech behind 4DSKY, which is Neuron, a machine-to-machine infrastructure that turns each sensor in a DePIN project like 4DSKY into this network of nodes. Then, when some traffic controller wants data from a sensor, an AI agent on the Neuron then facilitate the peer-to-peer data extraction directly from the sensor and handle micropayments on-chain, ensuring everything is transparent, secure and efficient. So Neuron is sort of like the backbone infrastructure. This setup is crucial for it to work, but to also vastly improve the current data gathering standard. The aviation sector is heavily regulated, where it requires accurate data and no single points of failure. Neuron's edge-native design, which is also open source, gives it reliability, a much easier scalability, and also improved data to prevent things like aerial collisions by monitoring drones, everything in the sky in ways centralized systems can't do. The sensor device is the Airsquitter from JetVision, the same pro-grade sensor trusted by top flight tracking companies like Flightradar24, Planefinder, and real air traffic installations. It records data on every major frequency all at once, plus full MLAT multilateration, basically everything in the sky, and not just the 60 to 70% that basic ADS-B receivers catch. This sensor is quite expensive, and there will only be 200 available at this next drop over at Helium Deploy. So after watching this video, if you're interested in getting an Airsquitter, you can get it $50 cheaper using the code Nordic. And if you're using that code, that will also help support the channel at no extra cost to you, so thank you if you're using it. But keep on watching, I'll still give you as always my honest opinion at the end. One of the best things with these kind of sensor devices is that they use very little power. The Airsquitter only uses about 5 to 10 watts, so about the same as a light bulb. So the running costs for this device is basically nothing. Wingbits is another flight tracking DePIN project that have been around for a few years already and already got around 5,000 active stations in the world. But when it comes to aircraft detection methods, that's where 4DSKY and Wingbits differ. Wingbits focus solely on ADS-B signals, which are great for tracking modern commercial jets, but that's it. It misses out on helicopters without ADS-B transponders, gliders, older legacy aircrafts relying on other modes or other protocols, and especially drones that often don't carry ADS-B at all. And I think there's gonna be a lot more drones flying around in the future, so that's quite important. So in busy or mixed airspace, that ends up leaving quite big blind spots, making the data incomplete and less reliable for serious applications. 4DSKY, on the other hand, goes all in with multi-signal detection, even including MLAT, multilateration, to even triangulate positions from non-broadcasting planes. This gives a truly comprehensive view of the skies, seeing everything in it, which is exactly what regulators demand to see for approval. Let's go through some important stuff about the Airsquitter and then talk about the setup. Before ordering this device, make sure you check their Explorer page and see that you have no other 4DSKY sensor 2 kilometers near you or near the place where you intend on setting up your device. That is because you will need to be 2 kilometers away from any nearby 4DSKY sensor to be able to get the most rewards. After that, when order, you also need to make sure you get the right antenna for your location. When we order, we will get 2 antennas in the package. There is the primary 1090 MHz antenna for the ADS-B and GPS, which is universal, but for the secondary antenna, we need to make sure we choose the right one. Go with the 978 MHz if you're in the US, or the 868 MHz if you're anywhere else. When you get the package, you want to mount these antennas outside securely with a clear line of sight to the sky. You want to make sure the antennas are placed at least 25 centimeters apart from each other to avoid interference. From there, connect the 1090 MHz antenna to the ADS-B GPS input port on the device and plug the regional antenna into the FLARM UAT port. This device works with both Ethernet and Wi-Fi, but for Wi-Fi, make sure you have a good connection. After the Airsquitter is set up, create an account at explorer.neuron.world and sign up specifically as a service provider. Connect your device to your account using the QR code or the serial number on the device, and then input your exact GPS coordinates. Hit submit, and within minutes, your setup is live on the 4DSKY network, tracking flights and rewarding you with points. This entire setup should take around 1 hour to complete. Let's talk about how you get rewarded for running the Airsquitter. 4DSKY will eventually have its own token, and the official token generation event, TGE, is currently planned to occur sometime in 2026. Until the token drops, points will build up in the background based on how reliable your sensor stays online, so uptime is a very important aspect here. There will also be potential reward bonuses for capturing data from a lot of air traffic, and that will be implemented sooner or later. When the token finally launches, those points you have gathered will then be converted into real tokens that you can hold, sell, or use inside the 4DSKY ecosystem. The reward system is built to encourage people to fill these empty spots on the Explorer map first. So if you're the very first person to set up a sensor in your area, you will get the biggest possible slice of the rewards from all the planes that fly over you 2 kilometers cell. If someone else puts up a secondary sensor only 500 meters away from you, they will also still get rewards, but a lot less than you. So being early and being the only one, or the first one in your neighborhood, is the single biggest factor for maximizing rewards. Setting up a sensor near an airport or in a similar location where there is a lot of air traffic is a perfect spot for a setup, but it works just as well in a suburban area or in a city. So what are my final thoughts about 4DSKY and the Airsquitter? The combination of a pro-grade device using underlying machine-to-machine tech by Neuron that ends up giving improved data in all aspects compared with the traditional sector, and they are already approved by UK regulators, makes this a top-tier DePIN project to follow in my opinion. They are most likely the best flight tracking DePIN project in terms of tech at least. Sure, the Pro sensor makes the hardware cost quite a lot more compared with other DePIN devices. But if 4DSKY are going to be able to build out and compete with other flight tracking companies, they need to be able to provide the same high quality level of data. So I honestly think it's only good that they are only allowing this professional device. That being said, we have absolutely no idea how 4DSKY will grow, how much potential customers they will get, how long time that could take, and all of that is ultimately what will bring in revenue to the project and rewards to us sensor deployers. This is a DePIN project we are very early with, so I think it's very likely that they will first need to grow quite a bit, get a lot more sensors put up in the world before they're able to get things going. And that is especially when it comes to these heavily regulated industries like aviation, where things can move really slowly. 4DSKY does, however, have a very good technical solution for their service and a regulatory head start already, which is more than most DePIN projects can wish for. And the best part with these DePIN devices, if it all ends up going well for 4DSKY over time, is that this sensor and antenna, we just need to keep it up and online, and that's it. Because it uses almost no power at all, so once we got it up, we don't need to do anything, and hopefully it goes well and we could get a lot of rewards from it in the end, but who knows. So if you live near an airport or a place with a lot of air traffic around you or drones, it could potentially be of interest to take an extra look at the Airsquitter. If you decide to get the Airsquitter, consider using the code Nordic to get it $50 cheaper. Also, let me know what you think of 4DSKY and this device in the comments. Thank you for watching, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.